engineering and how it is different from many branches. This question will be like in the minds of many aspirants, like who are currently pursuing chemical engineering. Like, how can I like grow with my career, as well as what are the subjects which I need to focus and how it is different from other branches. Like in this dynamic environment and dynamic scenario, like many people are more towards this digitalization. So how can this field help me in that? So this is I want to say that this is one of the core branch, like which need expertise of many subjects, but at the same time, like it is evolving every day with greater opportunities. So, here I have written just the basic principles, like what we need to focus on. As many faculty refers during our graduation, mathematics is the key for chemical engineering, which also involves economics. So this is the role where you basically produce something on a large scale, which the nature has given in a particular form, and you're converting it to some other form which is useful for the mankind, which you are doing it safe way as well as in an economic way. So the opportunities are very broad, and you have a very good job scope in various industries. So this particular branch is having a very bright future. Second thing will be, are chemical engineering subjects really tough? No, this is a very age-old question. I can say, because it depends on your perspective and it depends on your understanding levels. It is as hard as easy as other subjects. There's no comparison at all. It is same as any other branch. You cannot compare. But only thing is that here you have more opportunities. You need to be jack of all trades rather than an expert in one. So mathematics will be the key. And when you compare to other branches, the number of subjects which are generally taught in UG are generally limited to max 8 or 9 subjects. You have more lab work in this particular branch, and the subjects are pretty easy, I can say, and they are interlinked with one another. The third one will be like, is job scope very limited in India? Like because many of the engineering colleges are not offering this branch, so people have a perception that the job scope is very less. So that is the reason many colleges are not offering. But it is not the case. I can say to all the students who are participating in this today lecture, whatever college you are studying, like the college which is offering chemical engineering is not that because of limited opportunity. It is because it needs more infrastructure, more lab facilities, and the number of aspirants are still generally less, because the amount of exposure people have to this particular branch is still limited. But this is one of the most significant branch in India. The opportunities in government sector, private sector, as well as research opportunities are very ample, and the scope is very wide. And someone asked at some point of time, like, that I'm interested in programming and software analysis, like, will I not fit in this chemical engineering? It is not the case. If you refer the image here, the left one was the digital the analog board which people used to operate in the refinery long back. But on the right, if you see, it's a more digitalized, it is more digitalized, and remote operation has taken over, very less manual intervention. So this all has happened because of many people who have very good knowledge of the process as well as the software analysis. So you can definitely be a great definitely get a great place in chemical engineering arena, like if you are very good at programming as well as software analysis also. And then, are pay and perks less in core sector of chemical engineering? It is not the case. Like, it is generally a myth. So it depends on the sector primarily. So oil and gas pays the highest starting pay, I can say, currently. And like pay generally will be exponential. Like, even if you start with any sector, like be it pharma, be it pepper, be it fertilizers, whatever it is, so with your experience, definitely the rise will be exponential, in contrasting with the other branches which is generally linear. And second thing, the competition is pretty less in this particular branch, so that the experienced personnel across many sectors are very less, because you have n number of sectors in chemical engineering. So that, like, it is really tough to find experts in a particular field. So once you get that expertise, you'll be definitely paid very handsome. And then, are workplaces located in harsh environmental conditions? No, this is not. This is also a myth. Generally, people have an apprehension that they need to work with chemicals. You need to get exposed to hazardous gases as well as some hazardous environment, but it is not the case. It depends on your job profile. Very, very limited job profiles, particularly for engineers, are located in harsh environments. Otherwise, 95 to 99% of profiles are not located in such conditions, and employee welfare is always the first portfolio of many industries. And recently automation has drastically changed the way plant operates. So you can be rest assured that all the advanced safety systems and hazard methodologies have zeroed the risk factor in all the industries. So uh, it is not the statement which is valid in today's generation. And then, are campus placements important for getting job in core sector? Yes, it can be definitely a good opportunity to kickstart your career, but necessarily it is not the only option. There are many firms which are recruiting through all India exams like GATE, ICRB, or BARC, etc. And then the main important thing which I can say is in this sector of chemical engineering, references and networking plays a key role, particularly to get the first job, because getting the first job is a challenging task. Once you get into one job, then you will definitely find some opportunities from there. So for getting this first job, many of the graduates will face a tough time, but I would say that please develop your references and networking through many online portals like LinkedIn, so that it will make your job easier. And then recently there is a trend in many big industries that there is an outsourcing for many unit operations. Like some of the industries are not recruiting directly; they are recruiting through some outsourcing firms, so that you can first enter into that, gain experience, and then you can try into getting into the bigger arena. So yes, getting a job is definitely a tough task, but it is not as tough as you think in the field of chemical engineering. And then, are opportunities in core sector gender biased? This is the question generally many girls have asked me, particularly with industrial roles. Yes, I can say this is a big, huge no in this current generation. The gender bias is nowhere in the opportunities as well as the industrial roles which are being taken up currently. So I can definitely say this based on my experience that girls, or like I can say both the genders, are having equal opportunity and equal treatment in any of the role across industries. And then, do automation affect our future prospects of chemical engineering? No, it is not the case, because you can say that automation has come up, manual intervention has come down, so the number of engineers requirement may be coming down. But if you see this, I can just answer you this paradigm. The kitchen, the kind of kitchen we use today have changed, but the chef has not changed, because tools can be replaced but not the chef. The actual recipe, that the fundamentals of chemical engineering still remains with the engineers, so they are the one who actually control the whole system. So you will definitely have that crux and the cutting edge. Automation can never completely take over the industrial operation without the intervention of engineers. And finally, what are the other opportunities chemical engineers have apart from core industries? Yes, I can say like process safety is one of the major area currently being worked out. Uh, and then quantitative risk assessment is one of the job role, and then data analysis and instrumentation, energy auditors, and job consultancy, teaching. So these are all the various opportunities which you can get into apart from the industrial operations role. So these are all the frequently asked questions. Uh, then we'll move on to the next part, that is what roles and industries await you, like what are the opportunities which you have in front of you, and what are the roles which you will be taking up after your graduation once you secure your first job. I have divided this into majorly three parts: production, design, and research jobs. uh, First we'll discuss production. And in production, let's say you have got into an industry, like be it refinery or any other industry. So you will face these five roles. First thing is operations, then technical services, and then project process and process control and process safety. So these are the five roles generally a chemical engineer will take up during his career. So we'll discuss each one in detail. First one is operations engineer. So this is the ideal role to start your career as a chemical engineer in industry. So these are the people who actually operate the plant. They are the frontline officers. They supervise the shift operations and ensure that all activities are in accordance with the targets. Like you're operating the plant with safety, and your design target of your product as well as your security regulations. These candidates will have a strong and stable career in production units down the line, because hands-on experience is very crucial in the field of industries, because unless you actually operate a pump or actually operate a heat exchanger, you will never know the intricacies linked to it. So these people are the ones who will get that experience early in their careers. So these people will have a very strong career down the line. And the working hours for these people are generally not flexible. They usually work in shifts. And as I said, like, there's no gender bias in this particular role. Currently, even girls are put into shifts. They are operating the plants. So this role will be a bit challenging, as well as a very good role to kickstart your career on a higher note. And second role will be technical engineer, technical services. These are people who are more knowledgeable with respect to process and the latest developments in the industry. They are sometimes also called as process engineers. So the main role of these people are to provide regular support to operations with respect to monitoring and troubleshooting. Because operations engineer work in shifts, they will not be available 24/7, because then there should be someone who has to analyze and monitor the data continuously, and who can troubleshoot the things. So it is the role of technical engineer to take care of all those things. In addition to monitoring and troubleshooting, they are also involved in process inspection of plant equipments, columns, vessels, whenever it goes for shutdown. So these are the people who go inside, check, and they will approve the healthiness of plant with respect to process. And they also do the technical evaluation of all the chemicals and catalyst procurement, or any changes in the process is generally initiated by technical engineer. And they also roll out monthly reports, and they usually work in day shifts, but they should be available 24/7. And then project process role. This is one more role which is a bit challenging, but this role will start on a higher note, because these are the engineers who start with the project. Like, they are the responsible for any new projects coming up or new expansion projects. So they will be handling this project at various stages. Like, they do the basic engineering, HAZOP study, P&IDs, finalization and execution. It is not that you actually do. You will verify or evaluate based on the consultant's inputs, or the vendor's inputs, whoever to whomsoever the project has been awarded. So you will get very good hands-on experience project about the project in its grassroots stage itself. And they generally deals with scheduling and resource handling, in addition to the all other project management principles. So these are the people generally who apply chemical engineering principles as well as project management principles. So they should be very good at managing people, managing the resources. So these project engineers act as bridge between management and third party contractors. They should be having a separate skill set, like decision making ability, leadership and organization skills. So generally an experienced personnel will be kept in this role once you have some ample experience in operations and technical. But nowadays, like, based on the manpower crisis, like, some freshers are also put into this role. So this is really a role which one should look for and aspire for. And then process control engineer. This is one of the latest trend. So earlier, like, if you look at the industry a decade ago, the above three roles are only existing, like operations, technical and project process. So now recent developments brought up this process control engineer. So the main role of these people to make the industrial production run seamlessly and efficiently using the process control equipment. Like, they they improve the automation procedure, they improve the feedback systems, so that the manual intervention, the scope for manual errors will be minimized. And, like, they develop improvements to enhance the efficiency of processes, including like adjusting the softwares, like regular maintenance of the controllers, and physically arranging the APC equipment. Like, before the engineer acts, this APC equipment will act and resolve a process. So there are several levels of control. Like, if you see in the diagram, like single loop control, multiple loop, multiple variables, single variables. Like, uh, if you have come across a subject like process control in your graduation, this is the role which you should definitely aspire for based on the subject, because this is the one which is having a bright future, because all the industries right now are shifting towards automation. uh, like more than automation, it is about remote control. Like you can operate the plant sitting at your home or like moving around. So that extent of automation is coming up right now in industries. Like once the unit trips in field, like you will receive an SMS that this particular deviation has happened in a particular plant. So that extent of automation is being happening right now in the industry. So this role is a bit advanced as well as a bit new. So people who are having a very good crux of software skills as well as the programming skills in addition to the chemical engineering principles, they will definitely excel in this particular role. And then process safety engineer, this is an age old as well as the most crucial and important element in industrial perspective, because safety is utmost priority in all the industries, be it employee safety, be it equipment safety, or be it community safety, like whatever it is. Like these people are generally referred about process safety, because employee safety and community safety is generally taken care by separate set of people, like you call them fire and safety or so. So these process safety engineers, like they mainly deal with the process, like they're responsible for the implementation of all process safety practices which are being followed across industries. So like if you are the person who always thinks what if, like what this can happen, what if this can happen, like if you are the person who always think about that way, so then this is the role which you should definitely take up, because these are the people who are responsible for the risk identification in a particular plant, and then assess it and then find ways to mitigate it, like what are the ways to deal with it. So these are the people who always conduct the safety awareness sessions as well as process safety audits. So the major key skill set which is required for this role is analytical thinking and knowledge of HSE practices across industry. So these are the 5 roles generally which are being handled by the chemical engineers in production side, that is industry. And then comes this designing. So this is one role which you are actually not working in field, but you will design a plan. Like these are the people who actually design the plan, conceptualize, and then develop, and they will just manage the new projects. So I can give you an example of petroleum refinery. So there are many units which do their own duty. Like some will be treating the like you have crude distillation, you have fluidized catalytic cracking, you have treating facilities. But all these units are designed by licenses. Today, like there are very less technologies which are owned by Indian licenses, but like we are mostly dependent on foreign licenses. But there are many MNCs which recruit our engineers. They design within India and they provide after sale technical support. So like the so if you want to enter into this designing role, then you need to uh, I think like it is always good to go for higher studies, pursue some more knowledge on the chemical engineering subjects, like particularly to say like on the equipment design and equipment processes. Then you can start your career with any of the designing company, be it small scale or large scale, because many of these designing companies give subcontracts to many other designing companies. So the role of these design engineers is generally limited in the areas. Like many of the design companies are generally located in metropolitans, so you can have a flexible working hours as well as. So these design engineers will generally look after the plant before design as well as during the design execution as well as after sales support. So these are the people for whom the initial experience matters. The pay may not be as fancy as the production ones, but you can expect exponential rise in your pay once you gain that experience. And then comes the third role, like which is research. So R&D engineers, like there are again two types of people who work in research. Like one is who are going into academic research, like one who pursues MTech and then do PhD and then develop some process in a lab, and then finally try to apply in the industry arena. That is one kind of research. The other way is around. Like some people work with the R&D which is located with the particular industry, let's say HP or IOC, whatever it is. So like they are linked with a particular industry. So they do research with respect to the industrial problems which they are facing, and they find out the solution, and they conduct field trials in the unit, and then they establish the procedures. So there are two types of research opportunities. So whatever it is, R&D engineers are generally involved in studying a process and then finding out ways to improve the existing ones or invent new ones. The scope for research with respect to chemical engineering is very wide, like biotechnology, fuel cells, nanotechnology, like sustainable technology improvements. All these have taken over. Right now, this is not the age where designing a heat exchanger or designing a column is highly appreciated. This is an age where like you need to think beyond that, because there are a lot many softwares which have taken over the designing part. So research is something like which is really critical for all the companies. That is the reason like many of the companies have equipped their own R&D infrastructure, and they're investing into it to address their problems. So, like based on my experience or conversation with the recent RTMs, like these are the areas, current areas of research which refining world is currently looking up, like the hydrogen economy, role of hydrogen and fuel cells as emerging energy solution, because these carbon emissions or non-renewable fuels, all these has been a topic for the last 2 to 3 decades. So hydrogen economy is something like which is being seriously worked out by various industries in various countries today. And then you have these renewable fuels, and then bottom of the barrel upgradation, because like many of the processes or refineries today, like they don't have these residue upgradation facilities. The more you upgrade, like the better will be your margins, and better will be your financial criteria of the industry. So these are various current areas of research which you can refer at a later point of time. I have just listed down so that this will be helpful for the research aspirants as well as the current students as well as faculty, so that they can work in alignment with these areas of research which is being conducted currently in the areas of petroleum and energy sector. And then these various companies I have listed down sector wise. This is for the benefits of students particularly, because many people think that like there are very limited industries which recruit chemical engineers. But I have listed down the major people who hire chemical engineers, so that you can just develop your references part on the LinkedIn. You can just search on LinkedIn that people who are working in these particular industries, and you can just get in touch with them, because all of you have seniors or your acquaintances who are working in various chemical engineering plants. So like I've listed down here so that it will be useful for you to search during your referencing network. Like there are refineries, petrochemical complex, and then these are the designing and licensing companies which we have currently in India. So if you want, or like if you want to start your career in the field of designing, then these are the companies which currently recruit. Many of these are MNCs, like which are still located in India, and then fertilizer companies, and then you have pharmaceutical, paints. I have only listed down the major recruiters. I have not listed down all the small scale or medium scale industries. Then your agrochemicals and fine chemicals, FMCG, fast manufacturing consumer goods. So these are all various companies which I have listed down for the benefit of students, so that you can just initiate your referencing as well as networking part before you finish your graduation, so that like getting your first job will be pretty easy. Now I'll move on to the next topic, which is a bit important, like career pathways, like how to reach the roles which I have mentioned above, like how to get into those industries or how to get into those roles. So like if I divide the students of chemical engineering into two parts, I can say like some set of students who are generally interested in core part, like who want to settle in the core industries of chemical engineering. There are always some set of students who are always doing chemical engineering for the sole purpose of graduation, and they have some other aspirations like going for civil services or going for like maybe some higher studies or whatever it is. So I'll be limiting my discussion only for the aspirants who are looking for opportunities in core sector. So broadly, I have divided into two parts, like that is gate, through gate opportunities and non-gate. So gate is one bigger platform, like where all the aspirants can pursue their. I'm sorry. So all the aspirants can aspire to do either MTech or get a job into PSUs or any other industries through gate. I will discuss this gate part in detail in the coming slides. Non-gate is something like you have to appear for other exams, like I can say IFS, CPCB Central Pollution Control Board, and SPCB State Pollution Control Board, and BAS, and this and BEE, as well as this ISRO recruitment. Like all these are various competitive exams which are generally conducted based on the chemical engineering principles, but not through gate. So you can always prepare for the exam, or you can be thorough with the subject, so that even if it is not gate, you will still have ample of options to crack. And then the last one is references part. Like all of us may not be able to crack the exams and get good ranks at an all India level. Then it is always good to start your job through some reference. But that is not a very bad idea, because once you, whether you clear gate, whether you clear all India exam, or whether you go through reference, it doesn't matter. It is all about starting of your career. What is more important is developing your career after that. So experience after that matters. Let's say someone have secured all India gate rank 1, and then he has got into the job. So it is not that his career will be bright throughout. So it again depends on his performance and his energy levels in the job role. So what I would like to say is that to all the students is that try to get first job as soon as possible, whatever industry it is, like be it pharma, be it fertilizer, be it refinery. Gain some experience, gain good knowledge of operating principles as well as hands-on knowledge of operations, then your value will be multifold. So now we'll shift to the next part, like more detailed presentation about gate. Look, so why gate? Like why many people stress on gate? Like many of the students even get pissed off by the faculty because they will apprehend that since our college is unable to bring good placements, that's why they are asking us to focus on gate. So they take it the other way. So from a student point of view, I would like to say that these are the four elements. First thing is that the most important, gate exam is not based on some arithmetic or something. It is purely conceptual. So whoever studies the concepts well, whoever is having good understanding of the subjects, definitely they can crack gate very easily. Why I am highlighting, because if you compare this exam with any other competitive exams like banking sector or any other sector, so they generally go for aptitude, or they generally go for like logical reasoning thinking, which are all generic in nature. They doesn't require conceptual understanding. There the scope for shortcuts or some other short ways is possible, but whereas in the gate exam it is not possible. So you should be thorough with the subject, you should be thorough with the concepts. And then the other most important feature of this gate exam is it is fair and transparent. Like throughout the decades, the marking system or the questions, the scoring system, as well as the exam, throughout the exam, like be it from the application to be it from the results declaration. So everything is fair, transparent. You can always compare. So there is no other way, like I can say, which is as good as this for the aspirants who are generally not having much references part. So this is one way like which you can get into it. And then, as I said, there are many companies which are recruiting through this exam. You can get ample amount of jobs, and then you also have the opportunity to get into higher education. You can get into premier institutes. The very reason many of the students get settled with the grade B colleges in state, because they're unable to crack JEE or whatever it is during their class 12. But here is another opportunity to get into those primary institutes. Like you can experience that world class learning through this exam, MTech, PhD, whatever you want, like your interest area. Like you can further pursue your career, and you can always improve your skill set. So this is the reason why I always suggest students to aspire for GATE exam. And then how to prepare? Like I would say there is a threefold strategy. First thing is that for any branch or for any exam, you need to know the syllabus. What is the syllabus? Because whatever you study may or may not include in the syllabus for this particular exam. So first, all the students should refer to the syllabus of chemical engineering, what will be asked in GATE. And then once you know the subjects, in each subject, what are the topics which will be asked? Because in the like in the last 40 to 50 years, GATE exam has never asked any question out of syllabus, not even once. So you should be always look for the subjects or the topics which are being mentioned in the syllabus for GATE exam. And then once you know the topics, then you need to assess like what are the topics which are in a particular subject, what is the weightage being given, and what is the depth of subject which is depth of the topic which is being asked in the GATE. Because all subjects are not given equal weightage, and all subjects are not asked at a uniform depth. Some are asked at a very basic level, and some are asked at a very advanced level. So this analysis every student should first look after. So if you see this, like I somehow during my course of preparation of this particular presentation, I came across this image in Quora.com. One of the engineer, like who has aspired for GATE in 2010 or so, he has done this analysis from GATE 2000 year to 2009 year. He has analyzed like what are the questions and how many marks from each subject they have asked, and what is the analysis. Like this itself shows that the number of subjects from which the questions are mainly concentrated are limited to 8 or 9. So I would say maximum 8 subjects which are in chemical engineering, apart from mathematics, which are given the highest importance. So this kind of analysis every student should try to make on his own hands, like by referring to one or two papers, so that he will get a clear edge over the other participants. This is very important. So like how to go about this, we'll discuss in the next slide. So this is how about the GATE strategy. So I have divided the preparation and the methodology of cracking GATE into 6 stages. So the first thing will be initial assessment. Like you need to assess first where you are with respect to understanding, with, with respect to understanding of your subjects, or with respect to expertise, what you have, whatever you have studied, which subjects you are good at and which subjects you are bad at. So all that initial assessment you should be doing. And then you have to plan. So how to study, because you may be good at one particular subject, so you need to allocate time less for that, and you need to allocate more time for the subjects which you are weak at, or which you have not studied well during your normal semester. Like that you have to plan things. And then it's the learning stage. This is more critical. You need to spend time, understand the concept, read reference books or textbooks, and then solve some problems. Then you will get some confidence that okay, you have learned this particular concept or subject. And then comes the revision stage. So once you have passed these 3 stages, that means you have completed your syllabus and you have learned completely. And then it is always beneficial to revise the things which you have studied, because GATE is exam like which you give after your maybe in the 4th year or after your graduation, but the subjects are still from the first year to final year. So revision always plays a key role in keeping you updated, as well as always ready for the exam. And then mock tests. So mock tests are the one like which will give you the real time experience before exam. So you should always sit, and then you should take one paper, maybe some of the mock tests which are offered by various institutions, or maybe previous paper, let's say some 2007, 2008, whatever paper you like, you take, sit for 3 hours, try to solve it, and then you assess back like what is the level of understanding, or what is the level of ability you have achieved to solve the problems. And then finally the real-time exam. So how you assess, how you strategically answer the questions in the real-time exam, how smart you are. Like you cannot always answer every question, so you need to be smart in choosing the questions. So like that. So below each stage I have marked the probable persons. like let's say 100 aspirants are there, like who want to write GATE. So I can say many of the people not even care about doing this initial assessment. So I can for sure say they are disqualified for this exam even before exam. So you don't need to write exam if you have not assessed yourself. If you are just studying or with the flow or something like that, I can give you assurance that you will be definitely disqualified. And then there are second set of people who are very good in planning. Like they will always keep timetables, keep preparing timetables, and always feel that I will do this, that I will complete this subject and that subject, but they never come into execution. It is always limited to the that timetable or whatever strategy paper you prepare. So it is limited to that. So even most of the students who who got end up in planning stage itself, they generally disqualify after exam. And then many people do this assessment and then this planning and they study, but they will never have the time to revise or do this mock test or whatever it is. They will just study the subjects, they have good understanding, and they are pretty confident that they can clear. So yes, they can clear, but they are just mere qualifiers. So the rank would be like subject to that question paper toughness and all. And then revision stage, like people who generally revise the subjects and whatever it is, they have a very good chance of getting less than 1000 lines. And people who also do mock tests and all, they have a very good chance of getting less than 500. And people who perform real time, like using all these stages experience, people who really perform real time, they are the one who generally get less than 100 rank. So it is not so tough. Like if you follow this procedure, the maximum time which will take to complete this whole cycle is, I can say, max 8 months to 1 year. So like if you even start preparing in the mid of your third year or even at the end of your third year, you should be able to complete all these stages. So I will just give in you more details about like initial assessment, how to do it. So you take a question paper. First you sit, like based on your current understanding levels, based on your current expertise, you try to solve it, and you try to evaluate how many marks you have got. So it can be as less as 5 or 10, or it can be as high as 50 or 60. So it is different. It depends on the individual. So once you're through that, then you divide your syllabus, like how to plan it. Like there are 8 core subjects in particular with chemical engineering, like fluid mechanics, heat transfer, mass transfer, CRE, PDC, and then chemical technology, and then your CPC. So these are the 8 major core subjects. And in addition to this, mathematics and aptitude account for almost 30% of your gate weightage. So you have to classify the subjects based on the kind of subject. If you take the subjects of CPC and CRE, they are of mostly problematic. Problematic in the sense like you need to solve problems, or I can say like they are not theoretical, they are more into analytical. So the quality time which you need to spend to understand the subjects, the requirement is very less. So you can finish the chapters in max 1 week. So in 1 week, you can study the whole concepts and then you try to solve the problems. So here, for these kind of subjects like CPC or process dynamics control or as chemical reaction engineering. So these are the subjects for which practice is more important. The more you practice, the more you will be familiar with solving different kinds of problems. Whereas if you compare that with the other subjects like fluid mechanics, heat transfer, and mass transfer, thermodynamics. So these 4 subjects require a rigorous understanding of the concept. So here, 70% of the time you should spend on concept understanding. Then 30%, once you understand the concept, solving is very easy. The number of formulae or the number of kinds of problems are very limited here. So you don't need to mug up many formulas. So if you are pretty comfortable with the subject, then you can easily crack. So based on the kind of subject, and there's a third kind, that is chemical technology, mechanical unit operations, and like the similar subjects. Like these are of more theoretical. So here there is zero scope for any analytical or problems in this particular subject. So you should save time for these subjects at the end, because no matter how early you study, you'll always have a chance of forgetting the things, because here memory, you need to memorize many things. So for this, assessing last year papers or previous papers will definitely help. What kind of questions are being asked, particularly in these theoretical subjects. So this is how, like, there are three kinds of subjects. So I would suggest people or the students to start their preparation as early as second year. Let's say in your second year you have two subjects. Let's say fluid mechanics or chemical process calculation. So while you're studying for your semester subject, you simultaneously start referring to these gate papers, and you try to identify like what kind of problems they have given. So then you will definitely gain some confidence by the end of your semester that you could able to clear the questions which are given in gate currently. So similarly you do with every semester, then your overall preparation after your 3-1 or 3-2 will become pretty easy. Of course, like all the subjects it may not be possible, because it again depends on the faculty you have, or it depends on the resources you have. One or the other subjects you will be not concentrating during your semester. So no problem, you can always refer from scratch, you can always study, no matter whatever it is. Like it always takes maximum 2 months to read a subject from scratch to expert level. So based on that, you should do your planning. And then learning stage, you need to refer your textbooks, notes, or whatever it is based on the syllabus mentioned in the gate portal. And you have to prepare some keynotes, because you cannot refer every concept or every stage in your second revision. So you should always prepare the keynotes, and then your revise and recall. So once you are done with your preparation, you should always do some revision based on your notes. You should solve problems every day and then do some mock tests. This will give you some real-time experience. So if you ask me my personal experience, I have to 90% followed this strategy, and I'm a bit happy with the result or the outcome. The total subject of CRE you can accommodate on a single sheet of A4 paper. Do you believe it or not? So whatever CRE problems you are solving, if you read twice or thrice, you can accommodate the whole chapter with the important formula, or with respect to problems which are given in gate. You can accommodate on a single A4 sheet. Similar is with other subjects. Some subjects don't even take a single A4 sheet. Some are, you can accommodate in a half A4 sheet also. So by the time you go to your gate exam, you just need to carry 4 or 5 sheets just to refer at the last minute. So that is how it is. So these are the like the strategies which I have followed, and I would request other students also to follow based on your understanding. And then here I would also try to mention the difference between chemical engineering and the other branches with respect to gate exam. So this is just for the knowledge of aspirants and students. The first thing is number of aspirants. If you compare number of aspirants for our branch compared to other branches, they are very less. Like for ECE, Triple E, Mechanical, and Computer Science. So these four branches generally have aspirants in the range of 2 to 3 lakhs. And next, civil engineering will have an aspirants around 1 lakh. But for chemical engineering, as far as the latest information I have, the maximum number of aspirants are 15,000 to 20,000 max. That is the maximum number which it has seen. So even in this 15,000 to 20,000, there are at least 70% of people who fail in following that 5-step strategy. Either some of the people fail in initial assessment, some people fail in planning, some people fail in learning. So 70% competition you can straight away scratch off if you have followed this particular strategy. So out of 20,000, 70% if you remove, the core competition is mainly from 2 to 3,000 people. So in that too, they are the one who generally get qualified every year. So if you see the number of people qualified every year, maximum 3,000 people gets qualified. So you need to get more expertise with respect to preparation as well as subjects, so that you can crack in the top rank. And second thing, the quality and quantity of coaching centers. So this is one more idea which may not be agreed by everyone, that the number of coaching centers or the quality of coaching centers for chemical engineering in India are very, very less. Maybe one or two max. So how this will help us? Because the more number of coaching centers you have, people tend to develop shortcuts. So when people tend to develop shortcuts, they will always have an edge over the people who are solving a problem conceptually. So like if you take the example of banking sector, today the competition of banking sector have increased so much because of this number of coaching centers everywhere and the kind of shortcuts they have. So of course there is a very limited scope for shortcuts in GATE exam. But even in that, chemical engineering is having very limited scope because of this like lack of quality coaching center. So your books are your your books, your faculty, your resource books, whatever it is, they are the best guides. So you try to read them and try to get more knowledge as well as expertise with respect to this exam. And the number of subjects and respective weightage. So as I said, the number of subjects are very less, maximum 8 subjects. So if you divide that into semesters, so even if you read 2 subjects per semester properly, then you could able to complete all the 8 subjects in second and third year itself. And mathematics and aptitude. So for our chemical engineering students, this mathematics is a key. So since all the subjects require mathematics at the back end, so you don't need to prepare separately for this engineering mathematics. When you compare this with the other branches like metallurgy or mechanical, to some extent, like they have very limited application of mathematics. Whereas in chemical engineering, the application of mathematics is there in every subject. So you have a cutting edge here. So you don't need to prepare separately. And aptitude is something which is again based on your analytical skills. So I don't think this is a very tough area for engineering students. So mathematics and aptitude are something which you should be thorough from the starting first year itself. And then the number of admissions and jobs through GATE. So I can say since the number of people who are qualifying in the GATE itself are limited to 2000 to 3000, so at least 50 to 60% of people who got qualified are either getting into MTech admission through NIT, IITs, or ISC, or they're getting into jobs in PSUs, which is not the case with other branches. So hardly top 5 to 10% in other branches get placed in these IITs or jobs, whereas in chemical engineering it is the other way around. So this uh, I have told you these points so that you should not feel that GATE is a tough exam or it is having tough competition. At least for chemical engineers, this is the one of the best way to start your career without any reference, without any background, without anyone's recommendation. So this is the best way for all the students, uh, which is fair enough today. And some of the general tips I would like to tell is you always set an objective, like where you want to see down the line, like whether you want to do work in industry or whether you want to go into research or whether you want to go for designing field. Always set an objective, like where do you want to work or where do you want to aspire. Like okay, leave about chemical engineering, something in your life should be there. So based on that objective only, you can always assess your strengths, like because once you are clear with the objective, then only you can work accordingly. So as per project management study, I can say that 65% of projects fail because they don't have a clear objective. So that is the reason. So students, all the students, I would request to clearly set an objective. Let's say someone's objective is to get a rank below 100. Okay, so then what is that you have to do? So I have shared some strategy. You can refer the internet, or you can refer some other channels. You'll have some different strategies. So and you find or you customize the best one for you based on your strengths or based on your weaknesses. Then you can apply it. The third one is like the strategy of reading question and answers in the real time exam. So when you are actually giving the exam, so many of the people prepare well, do well, they have good conceptual understanding, but still they fail in cracking GATE rank. The very reason is the time. GATE has given 3 hours of time for 65 questions. Even in those 65 questions, 10 questions are not of chemical engineering, 10 to 15 questions. So you hardly have 50 questions to answer in 3 hours of time. So that corresponds to around 10 minutes a question or something like that. So what we tend to do, we generally answer all the questions in the first 1 or 1.5 hour given time, and then you will try to answer the questions which you are not good at or which you are unable to solve, and then you end up answering negative answers. You have negative marking. So my sincere request is that if you look at the cutoff marks, they are hardly 35 to 40. So that means out of 100, if you out of 65, even if you answer 20 to 25 questions correctly, you will still have good chances of getting qualified. But many of the people, out of 15,000 who apply, 10,000 plus people disqualify because they don't have any strategy to answer in real time. They just go sit and answer whatever they want, and they end up in disqualifying the exam. So this is one strategy. You please read the question twice, and then if you are comfortable, you please answer. Otherwise, skip that question and you try to answer whatever minimum number you know, like you answer that only. So otherwise, you don't. Otherwise, you will end up in more negative marking. So this is all about the GATE exam for the students. Uh, I think I have covered most of the points. Thank you for this opportunity. So I would like to open now, like for the questions, if anything is there from any of the students.
Thank you, Kopi. The floor is now open for the questions. You can ask the question chat box or you can unmute yourself. So the Gopi, from my side, I want to ask question from the student perspective.
Yes.
The students, if they get placed in some software, but they have prepared for GATE and they haven't qualified, so they will have one question in their mind whether I have to go for a software or I have to prepare for one more year for GATE. So what would be your suggestion for those students?
So my suggestion is that it is not always possible for all the students crack GATE exam in the first attempt, because that is it depends on the quality of education which you have gone through during your UG. It is not about the faculty or college, it is also about the individual interest. Many people tend to gain interest in developing their career after their graduation. So my suggestion is that if you are really interested in settling in core sector and if you are really good at your subjects, it doesn't matter whether you waste an year or not. You please sit, prepare again, because the kind of opportunities which you have through GATE today are very good, like once at a time. So I always suggest people to go for one more attempts. It is not only one. Some people even get in their second attempt or anything, because that is the reason many of the IITs are giving MTech admissions. So it is not always a software job. So some people get qualified in GATE, but still they don't get job in core sector. But still they can get admission into some NIT or IIT. You can go there, study the subjects, and again prepare, so that you will get a better edge in the next year. So I always advise, how many attempts you have, you please prepare and get the rank. So that is my suggestion.
Thank you. You have one more question in the chat box. Can you see, or you can? You
I can
stop
see.
sharing. Yeah.
I can see. So how can I get internship during my second year, and how can I get the practical knowledge? This is one important question, because many of the colleges today, they don't have any tie-up with any of the industries. So I can say Units College is one thing, like one college which is very good at this. I can tell you the example of this lecture itself, because when we studied, this kind of lecture series is not there. So the faculty has taken this initiative and they have this opportunity to get this exposure. What are the current trends in chemical engineering and all? So yes, getting internship is a bit tough, because many of the industries, small scale and medium scale, generally don't offer, and whatever industries offer internship, they generally go by reference basis. So I would request you please contact your faculty or your seniors to get internship. And there are some other platforms where you don't need any recommendation or reference, like the way I went, because when I am studying chemical engineering, I never knew anyone who was working in industry to give me an internship. So what I have done, I have applied through this Indian Academy of Sciences website. Like there is an institution called Indian Academy of Sciences. They promote research in the young students. So you apply there. Like if you're good in your academics and if you can find appropriate guide, then you will be awarded the internship along with the pay. That is how I got internship in this Indian Institute of Science, and that is where I have met Shiv Naresh sir. So that is the one way. Like two ways. One is reference, one is other internship platforms. So once you get into internship, your perspective of looking at a subject will definitely change. You will get more exposure and you will gain more interest in understanding the subject.
The one more questions that comes from the students' mind is that, yeah, you have one more question. Is there any method to minimize sulfur content in HPCL where using tail gas treating unit?
Yes, sir. Any method to minimize sulfur content? Yes, we are having right now TGTUs in our unit. Like the sulfur recovery percent is almost 99.99%. So right now, whatever sulfur we are removing from all the streams like gasoline, diesel, whatever it is. So all that being is recovered in SRUs. So this is a cross process, and after the cross process, we have this PGTU section also, which we have installed recently, maybe 4 to 5 years back, which have improved our recovery to 99.99%.
So some students ask that how chemical engineers can be a good entrepreneurs. Is there any scope for the chemical engineering to be go into the field of innovation or entrepreneurship?
Yes, like in India, like there's a lot of scope for entrepreneurship, even with respect to chemical engineering. Also, I can share one of my experience. Like we have 2 to 3 set of juniors who have worked on a project in our college, and then later on they went on to develop that project as a production unit, and then right now they are operating at a large scale. So entrepreneurship is something which is very good with respect to our career, because all these heat exchangers, distillations, whatever process which we devise, they are very customized and they need some expert knowledge which only chemical engineers can have. So in again, entrepreneurship is again two types. One is product innovation type and then service innovation type. So there are two types. So unfortunately in India we have many service oriented startups or entrepreneurship. Whenever I speak to youngsters, like for them entrepreneurship means Ola or entrepreneurship means OLX. So those are all service oriented entrepreneurships. So, like you have a job, that those apps are making it easy, but there is no innovation there. So our students should focus on more product entrepreneurship. So for that, faculty's role is also very important. You need to align the students with the latest trends of development, like what they can do. So because I can say, in addition to this petroleum or fertilizer, right now water is also one of the important area where students can work on, because water quality or demineralization of water is one subject which is age old, as well as which is also demanding some latest trends like desalination and all. So all these trends, like they have very huge scope for entrepreneurship.
There is one more question. Should we definitely have a coding background to get into core jobs?
Coding background, no, not at all required. Coding, I don't think coding is definitely required to get into core jobs, but always having a knowledge, an extra, it will give you an extra edge above others. That's all. It is not mandatory. You need to be good at your basics. That's all. No job. I just want to stress once again that no job or no role experts expect an expert in the first place. They only recruit freshers. They recruit people who are very good at basics. Then they will train according to their requirements.
So, there is one question from the lateral entry student.
Yeah.
He have completed diploma. Mathematics subject is very difficult. Can I crack the gate rank even though I am poor in mathematics?
See, once again, I'm just trying to normalize in that way. Mathematics is a key because all other subjects also have mathematics. So it is not that someone is poor or someone is very good at mathematics. It is based on the understanding levels. So it is good that you have accepted that you are right now not very good at mathematics. So this makes your job more easier. Now that you know the area where you want to focus more, you should always focus on the strategy that you gain knowledge and you gain expertise in mathematics. Then you can definitely, it is not about cracking it, you will definitely crack it with a very good rank. So always identifying your strengths and weaknesses is very critical. So it is always, to answer your question straightforward, it is always possible to crack GATE because there are many other questions without mathematics. But back of the end, I want to mention that if you are good at mathematics, it will make the understanding of other subjects easy, so which will give you more scoring. So I want you to focus more on mathematics now that you know that it is the area which you have to focus, and develop your strategy accordingly.
Is one more question. Would you suggest some skill that we should acquire in addition to UG course offered by our college?
Uh, One thing is that whatever courses which are being offered in our colleges are courses which are designed some years ago. So they teach you the basics, fundamentals of the core concepts, which are really important. But in addition to that, you should also be familiar with the latest trends and latest things which are happening in industry. So I would suggest people to acquire some basic knowledge about Aspen HYSYS even in their UG. That will really help in their professional careers. So that is one tool which I would suggest to get some expertise in your UG itself, because that is one tool which will have all the subjects in it. You can design an heat exchanger, you can rate an exchanger, you can design a column. Like it will have all your chemical engineering principles in it. So I would request faculty as well as students to work in that direction. What kind of
What kind
software
of
knowledge?
software knowledge is necessary for students when opting job like yours? Does every job demand? So I think you already answered this question.
Yes.
Some way. Does HPCL has its own exam for recruitment, or we need to go through GATE only? There is one more.
Sir, to
Yeah.
answer this question, actually it depends on the management. It differs from year to year. As far as I know, from the year 2014, it is recruiting through GATE as well as campus placements. As of now, I don't think they're conducting any separate exam for that. So this is one more advantage I can say with GATE, because with one exam you can get eligible for interview to many companies.
Yeah, right. There is one question. Is there any online portal that offer internship for chemical engineers?
Uh, that actually I'm not aware, to say frankly.
Uh,
Uh, I can maybe point your question, park this question, and I can just get back to your faculty later.
okay. So there is one question from Professor. The PG seats are almost equal in all branches of IITs or NITs, but after PG it is very difficult to get a faculty position because of very few colleges offering the chemical engineering. Can you please comment on these lines? That's what he's asking.
Uh, Sir, teaching is something, yes, getting into teaching profession after your MTech is tough, because right now there are very limited colleges and most of the colleges are asking for PhD. PhD as a prerequisite for teaching field. But it is not that always someone should aspire for only teaching in a college. You can always open a consultant, or you can be an energy auditor after your MTech, which are more into industrial as well as academic knowledge. That is the common apprehension people will have. Many students don't go for MTech because they don't want to go into teaching field. It is not that MTech is only meant for teaching field. It is always good if someone ends up in teaching field, because you are having a profession which is highly respected and you are in a process of developing future generation of chemical engineers. But even if you don't get the opportunity to get into teaching field, I would say you still have more knowledge than what generally UG people will have, because you have done MTech and all. Then I would request you to uh, go through this energy auditor course or safety assessment course, so that you can be a bridge between colleges and industries, because right now there is very thin line between these two peripheries. Colleges are not having interaction with industries, as well as industries generally doesn't have any tie-up with colleges. So you can act as that, and then you can promote students for internships, as well as you can talk with industries to solve some problem academically. There are many consultants today who are operating that way.
There is a question that in HPCL CD4 construction is going on. So the recruitment process is through GATE or open entrance exam.
No, it is not about in particular to CDU4. CDU4 is one of the unit which is coming up as part of our expansion. Recruitment is generally not made for a particular unit. Generally, it is based on the overall requirement of a refinery. Experienced people generally go for new units commissioning and operations. So recruitment is common for whole HPCL, I can say, not even refinery. It is a corporate recruitment. It is happening through GATE right now, and they are going for campus placements to some of the IITs and NITs as of now.
Yeah. And the other thing is a process safety subject. Is it a good stream to choose for a chemical engineer?
Yes, definitely, because there are very limited people who have expertise in this particular stream. But whereas every industry needs safety expert to analyze, to assess their systems, to quantify the risks, and then to identify the systems to mitigate those safety hazards. So this is definitely one of the fancy career for a chemical engineer.
What if so the rules have changed for the GATE from this year? The third years also can write the exam. So the question is that what if someone qualified directly at first attempt in third year according to new rules? Is there will be a lack of knowledge which will study in the fourth year or it is not? So the question may be that third years can they write the exam with the strategies that you have explained? Can they
Okay.
crack the third years?
Yeah. Definitely yes, I can say this because in our 4-year engineering, the courses are designed in this way. First year will be your basics. Mostly all branches will have similar subjects: mathematics, physics, chemistry, and all. Whereas second and third year, you will be studying the core subjects of your engineering in the basic level. And final year will be having your specialization courses, your project work, as well as the subjects which are required for your further higher education. So I can say second year and third year subjects are will be covering 95 to 99% of your GATE questions. So you can happily answer your all your questions after your third year.
I think this question you have already answered, but the girl students want emphasis more. So, sir, what is the eligibility criteria for girls in core sectors?
Ma'am, there is no separate eligibility criteria for girls. It is same as everything. Like there is no. I don't think there are any special criteria or special. What I can say. Forum for girls. They are equal to all. Like they are being treated equal. If you get a good rank, if you can clear interview, you are as good as the male counterpart. That's all.
So thanks, Gopi, for giving an overview and the strategies of different views. Now I'll give the mic to Anil sir, the HOD of the department, to formally announce the vote of thanks. And before that, all the participants, the feedback form has been shared in the chat box. Please kindly fill the feedback form so that you'll give a certificate of participation. If there are any problems, you just mail to us. The chemflare@panits.edu.in will respond. So the mic is open to Sir Anil sir.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. First of all, I thank his experience, the GATE execution and the preparation strategies required GATE in the roles we have, different jobs we have in chemical engineering sector. So I thank you, sir. Thank you for sparing your time, valuable time to the students of ANITS and different colleges also. And I also thank the participants who spared their valuable time for almost 5 weeks on every Sunday from 10 to 11:30. And then I like to thank Dr. M. Sivanaresh for arranging this wonderful lecture series 1. I hope next one will be there in a couple of days or weeks. And then I also particularly thank students of ANITS and Yashwant from final year and Sudarshan from third year for helping in administrative setup for this lecture series. And I also thank our management and principal for giving us an opportunity to arrange this lecture series. And I also thank the speakers of all the lecture series for sparing their valuable time and spending time with the UNIT students and other students we have in the lecture series. And I thank you all. I hope the same participation for the next lecture series also. And thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. So thank you from Anit Sahichi, all the participants. We can call for the end, and we will be sure the next few months we will have another lecture series on entrepreneurship. Thank you. Thank you, one and all. Gopi, I will call to you.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, Gopi sir, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.